Welcome back to my channel. So, I wanted to talk about domestic abuse and sex because I've experienced domestic abuse before. I've been sexually victimized when I was younger. I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. I don't like the victim mentality, but yes, I was a victim of sexual abuse when I was younger, when I was 4 all the way up till I was 17. So I've been through sexual abuse before and I know how the encounterment feels as a female perspective. And then I'm in porn, like I told you guys, also as an adult in porn, running my business in porn and being my own porn director and my own porn film caster and my own porn model. So, yeah, but I wanted to talk about how domestic abuse and sex actually makes sex more harder to have sex, because I've been, like I said, I had sex from being violated from when I was young, all the way since I was 4 all the way to the time I was 17. And to people who are like, man, they will view it like, oh, we're just getting what we could get and you guys should be gentle up on the approach of sex for us. But you have to understand the scale of the scenario of us feeling. It feels like you're trying to thrive it as, if we don't have sex with you, our life is at stake because we're not having sex with you. And that feeling of that type of overwhelmed feeling of that approach to sex makes us not want to have sex anymore, because it feels like if our life is going to be taken from us because we do not want to have sex with you, is it really worth the idea of having sex with you? Does it really makes it like worthwhile? Like, yeah, have sex with him. Like, no, it's not. It makes us feel more hurt and hindered that our chances to want to have sex with you. And sex in the olden times, you guys, sex used to be the thrive of thing that we always talk about. Death and sex was the most thriving ancient times to talk about. But as history, all revolutions try to make it in slavery and everything else, and now all of everything else in this world, you know, it hinders the chance for intimacy to thrive when people are domestically abused in the act of sex. Because sex it changes the chemistry throughout the sex course. It's not like, oh well, now you're just thinking too much emotional on it. Of course I'm gonna think emotional on it when you're treating me as like your personal sex object versus your partner. Like at first sex used to be thriveful. Now it feels like it has to feel like a physical attack against us. And that's what makes sex more harder for couples and more relationships as such, because it used to be a thriving force to want to have sex with your partner. Now it feels like it hinders us to feel scared if we don't have sex with him. Is our life at stake? So, and the chances are, like, it makes sex like more and more difficult to want to have sex with our partner because of domestic abuse. Not just domestic abuse, it's all of the other things that happen in this reality of this world, like prostitution and everything else in that type of world. It hinders our chances to find the person that we want to have intimate relationship with, unless we disguise our intimacy as intimacy instead of just sexual abuse. That's what hinders the idealistic viewpoint of sex, because now it doesn't feel like it's a guarantee that I will find happiness in this approach of me having sex with this partner. It feels like it's going to be a domestic abuse to determine if he's going to want to be with me or if he's going to want to hurt me if I decide not to have sex with him. So that's like how sex of everything on that viewpoint, how it changes the dynamic of sex structure. Because at first, if you're normal and you're healthy, sex is like the best feeling in the world, of course, because it's one of our pleasure senses of our whole body. It's one of the best pleasure senses for our whole body to actually go through. Versus crying and just tears, because remember, those are acts of despair. Those are acts of sadness. Of course, in a human revolution, we'll always feel sadness and we'll always feel pleasure. But when our pleasure is now hindering, we'll just feel pain and feel sadness. It would never feel the same thing of like it's sexually pleasuring me to have sex with so and so. It makes me feel happy to have sex with my current partner because of so and so actions. Like it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel exactly the same way anymore. Because now sex feels like either I do it or it's something is my life is at risk if I don't. Because now it just feels like that type of scale where I have to say like the good, the bad out of it, and it shouldn't be like that. That's not how sex was. Sex is a part of humanity. It's not the biggest scope. I know as man viewpoints as like, oh, well, it's the biggest scope for us. It is, but you have to understand there's deeper levels to sex when you get to the deeper level of sex. Not, oh, but it drives us forcefully because we want to have prove a point to our homies and our counterpartners that we have sex, like, and that there's people that want to have sex with us, and there's people who find us interest, and people who want to like procreate with us. Yes, everybody wants procreation, I know, but you have to understand the idealistic viewpoint of sex, of this topic of sex. Because sex, I talk about sex as a sex therapist, and this is what I'm trying to let you guys know. Like, yeah, of course, like, yeah, sometimes there's women on women domestic abuse, sometimes there's men on men domestic abuse, but the chances of the sexual fulfillment, it changes after the domestic abuse has been pursued in the sexual chemistry in your guys' relationship. So I don't know. You can use a therapy viewpoint on it also, as like I'm a counselor and I'm a sex therapist, so I'm helping with that type of stuff. But of course, I'm giving you guys the input to help you guys redetermine the sex life that you guys had at first when you guys were first young, because those chances are that it kills your sex drive and it makes you more nervous to have sex than that it first did when you first started having sex, when you first consent to having sex. Because remember, there's consensual sex and there's non consensual sex. Those two viewpoints are two determinations how the sex feels for both parties. There's consensual, meaning I'm consenting to have sex with so and so. There's non consensual. Like, I experienced a lot of non consensual sex when I was younger. And now that I'm older, I talk about this type of like as a problem for me to reevaluate my own sex life and reevaluate how happiness I felt when I first discovered the act of sex with a partner who made me feel happy, that want to disclose the most vulnerable part of me and my pleasurable replicators, to make my heighten of my emotion go from sadness all the way to the best feeling in the world, just from the sexual gratification I received from my partner. So sex is a very big topic because it's the biggest topic of the humanity will always have to know that yes, it's about procreation. Yes, it's about the feeling of oneness. It's about the feeling of wholeness for each other. It's the feeling of closeness for each other. But it's also the grand theory, not the grand theory, it's actually the most substantial well-being in our intimate relationships throughout our marriage and throughout our relationship with our chosen partner. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Hit the like button, subscribe if you are new to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.